In the previous podcast, we discussed arboricultural tools and equipment and how they are used to perform tree care safely and effectively. Today, we're going to focus on something that guides how all of that work is done: tree care standards. Because arboriculture is not just based on experience or individual judgment, it is supported by established industry standards and best practices. These standards help ensure that tree care is performed consistently, safely, and effectively. Let's start with one of the most important frameworks in arboriculture, the ANSI A300 Standards. ANSI stands for the American National Standards Institute. The ANSI A300 Standards provide guidelines for professional tree care operations. They cover a wide range of practices, including pruning, soil management, tree support systems, and tree risk assessment. These standards define what should be done in professional tree care. For example, ANSI A300 Standards outline proper pruning practices. They describe how cuts should be made, how much canopy should be removed, and what objectives pruning should achieve. They also emphasize the importance of preserving the branch collar and avoiding improper cuts. Now let's talk about best management practices, or BMPs. BMPs are developed by organizations such as the International Society of Arboriculture. They provide more detailed guidance on how to perform specific tasks. If ANSI standards describe what should be done, BMPs describe how to do it. For example, BMP manuals may include step-by-step guidance for pruning, tree planting, or risk assessment. They provide practical information that arborists can apply in the field. Now let's consider why standards are important. First, they promote consistency. When arborists follow the same standards, the quality of work becomes more uniform. This is especially important in urban forestry programs, where multiple crews or contractors may be involved. Second, standards support safety. Proper procedures reduce the risk of injury and damage. They ensure that work is performed in a way that protects both workers and the public. Third, standards support tree health. Following proper techniques helps minimize damage and supports long-term tree function. For example, making proper pruning cuts allows the tree to compartmentalize wounds more effectively. Now let's talk about professional responsibility. Arborists are expected to follow accepted standards. This is part of professional practice. It also relates to liability. If work is performed improperly and results in damage or injury, failure to follow standards may be a factor. Now let's connect standards to decision-making. Standards provide a framework, but they do not replace judgment. Every tree in site is different. Arborists must apply standards in a way that considers specific conditions. For example, the appropriate pruning approach may vary depending on species, age, and site conditions. Standards guide decisions, but they do not make decisions. Now let's connect this to urban forestry. Cities often require that tree work performed on public trees follows ANSI standards. This ensures that work is consistent across the program. It also helps maintain public trust. Residents expect that tree care is performed professionally. For the ISA Urban Forest Professional Exam, focus on the role of standards. You should understand what ANSI A300 standards are, the difference between standards and BMPs, why standards are important for consistency and safety, and how standards support tree health. Questions may involve identifying proper practices based on standard guidelines. Tree care standards provide the foundation for professional arboriculture. They ensure that work is performed correctly, safely, and consistently. In the next podcast, we'll continue exploring arboricultural practices by looking at tree protection policies and ordinances, and how regulations shape tree care in urban environments. You've been listening to the Arborist-podcast. Our goal is to grow our collective knowledge, one domain at a time. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe to help us keep this momentum. Until next time, let's keep growing this community together.